what's going on, everybody. It's a little bit of a special edition breaking news, if you want to call it that.
Breaking news is right.
Yeah, so we're here on a Monday morning, uh, on vacation. Myself, Van Grohl obviously is on vacation as well. Um, if you follow the dirt late model world, I think it got flipped upside down last night.
Yeah, yeah. Upside down sounds
That,
about right.
but what it comes down to is, as of last night, SSI and Ricky Thornton Jr. going their separate ways effective immediately. So, um, I actually was just looking at Dirt Tracker today a little bit. Since the team was together in early 2020, they've won 63 features together. So,
And
they,
almost a Lucas Oil championship.
yep, yep. I mean, without getting caught up in that melee last year, he would have. I have a feeling he would have won that title. Um, it just is very sudden. I don't know, man. You can't hardly say performance is the deterring factor, can you?
No, especially when he won what 2 weeks ago,
Yeah, for the
12
firecracker.
seconds.
Yeah, he won the firecracker by 12 seconds.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, the car is definitely it's performing. It's you want to talk about hitting on all cylinders. They're literally hitting on all cylinders. It's just what happened. I mean,
I mean, yeah.
that's the gist of it.
So when you think about it, let's look at it this way. So let's talk about the Lucas Oil side of things here before we get too far into the other details. He's got a 235-point lead on Jonathan Davenport in the Lucas Oil standings. Well, Lucas Oil has themselves in a very, very interesting situation now with the split of Rocket and Hudson O'Neal.
Yep.
Now you're going to have Ricky and SSI. So Ricky's got a big point lead, but he has to run all the features.
Yep.
He he can't miss a show, and it's going to be tough when you look at it because let's look at their schedule quick.
Well, because we were looking at this last night too. Starting on Thursday, July the 11th, they run they have 8 races in 10 days.
So
So I mean that's a point swinging type of week and a half. That
that's a little bit of almost a hell tour-ish type feel.
yeah,
So that's in as we're sitting here on the 8th, we may have an answer as to what goes on tonight. He's the
yep.
point leader for Castrol Floor Racing Night in America. There's a race going on tonight, so we'll see what. And when you look at it, I think if from his point of view, you're going to have to think bigger picture with Lucas Oil.
I would agree. You've got more invested into Lucas Oil than you
That's
do Flow, especially when the Castro Flow has got as of recording one race in on their season.
yeah,
Sure, there are a lot of big money ones, but you're also going for that championship purse at the end of the year.
yeah, for sure. Um, I think another point of conversation, and I was just actually talking to a buddy about this. Another guy kind of in the middle of this that is going to be a very hot commodity in this whole thing is going to be Anthony Burrows,
Yep.
the crew chief on that ride. Does he stay with SSI?
And I mean, looking at the article that Flow Racing posted last night about this whole deal, it made it sound like that it was just purely SSI and Ricky went their own way. So Burrows and all those other crew guys were staying with SSI and to work on that car.
Yeah, that's it. That's very interesting, and I would have to believe that his phone is going to be ringing very heavily here, or
Oh,
it has been already.
absolutely. Absolutely.
And that might be a personal decision when SSI announces or lets the team know who their driver is. He could
Yeah.
very well say, we'll see how this goes, but I might find something I'm more comfortable with." But
And especially when you got the number one driver in the country on dirt late models,
yeah,
literally ranked number one
yeah,
now as a free agent. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah.
You just don't hear of stuff like that happening.
No, and I saw an article today. It was described the SSI Ricky departure in sprint car terms, and it's like I don't even know how you would describe that.
Gravel splitting off, Sweet and Kane.
Sweet
I
and
mean,
Kane, Larson Finley,
Larson Finley. Yeah, I mean, if
and
you look at super late terms, you're probably thinking Majeski and Toby.
yep,
Uh, maybe Butcher and Wilson splitting ways.
yeah, man,
It just again, you talked about it. It's flipped up, literally flipped upside down, but then it's tossed, like in a dryer, just all over the goddamn place.
yeah,
It's just how do you wrap your head around this whole thing? I mean, Christ, we're still talking. Everybody's still talking about it today on the socials, and it's been 12 hours.
if that, it's, it, I just where do you even begin?
Yeah,
But it did seem, um, looking at the article, it did seem that it was a very sudden departure.
and especially when he ran second. Where were they at?
Oh, was that the?
Muskegum.
Yep,
Yep, Freedom 60 just ran second there.
yep.
So again, running all cylinders.
Yeah, it wasn't like they really missed the beat. I mean, Devin, let's be honest, that was Devin Moran's home track. He was going to be tough to beat there, anyways.
Correct.
Which,
And starting from the pin too, that just makes it easier.
yeah, when he was quick time and the place was packed and they were screaming for him, he had momentum that really no one was going to be able to handle, anyways.
Correct.
But it's not like he lost any ground in his points, or it wasn't like he was only 5 ahead. Now, if his points battle is shaping up a little bit more like the World of Outlaws,
Yeah, where you get a little bit of back and forth, and
but everyone's been asking, does anybody have anything for the 20 RT?
I mean, again, we talked about if you're going old school with how points run, we were probably talking about Thornton being the champion from last year.
Yep.
I'm trying to find how the points breakdown works. Oh, no, let's see if this works. Well, since I'm here, you're talking about points fund. It's 200,000 for championship.
Yep. Yeah, that's they've Lucas Oil's got some money.
Yeah.
They're paying these guys out, and good for them. I
Oh,
mean,
absolutely. And I mean, I would say Lucas Oil is the only competitor, one of the next competitors to the World Outlaws.
yeah,
And you get a lot of crossover too. You get a lot of guys that run Lucas Oil that if the schedule allows or if they want, they run World Outlaws and vice versa too.
yeah, and I mean that's part of this whole deal with the dirt late models is the World of Outlaws don't have a race limit like the sprint cars do.
Yep.
That on any given night, if the World of Outlaws aren't running and Lucas Oil's on the show, you're going to see a Bobby Pierce,
A Hoffman,
a Hoffman. Yep, you're
Shepard,
going to
maybe.
see
Yep.
a Shepherd for sure. Um, yeah. So kind of going, let's look at it this way. Let's look at the open seat. Obviously, is going to be they're going to have to determine a driver for that car because obviously that team will not sit idle. The first conversation is who goes into that seat, and the second part becomes where does Ricky go?
Yep. So I got to thinking about we were talking about like the crossover, and I got to thinking about it. We haven't had a non Outlaws winner in the late models since April 19th when they're at the Talladega short track, just for record.
Oh, all right.
So I mean Outlaws have pretty much run their show
Yep.
So I mean, this is a hard argument to make, but do you feel like there's a performance thing going on with the Outlaws, or you stick purely with just what's going on in Lucas Oil?
Could be a little bit of both.
I know we say performance isn't really there, but when you don't see the performance versus the Outlaws, I don't
Yeah.
know. That you just got to throw that in the conversation. But yeah, like you said too, is where does he go? Because I mean, you know this probably better than I do, but from my understanding, there isn't really any open seats out there right now.
Not really. So kind of an interesting one. I was thinking about it and talking to a buddy this morning a little bit about it. The first piece of this is Longhorn, whatever Longhorn has to do to keep Ricky, they will, within reason, they will keep Ricky.
Brandon Shepard's the only house car driver for them, correct?
Yep. So you're headed in the direction I was gonna go with this, that the very interesting conversation come up of, does Shepard Riggs Racing or Brandon Shepard's crew, do they find a car for him?
Especially if Longhorn wants to keep him around, why not? Now you get two. Now you get two house cars running the two series.
Yep.
Because that was something that I saw. I forget who posted it on X, but they were talking about why SSI. Why didn't they just start a second car if they wanted to bring a certain driver in, which we'll touch on a bit, and have them run two different schedules? Have RTJ run the Lucas Oil, then have your other driver run the Outlaws or whatever other races they want.
Yeah.
So I mean, same rule applies to if Longhorn decides to go that route, because I'm sure they've got multiple cars sitting around.
Oh yeah, you look at the shop. I mean, they were putting together. There was actually a raffle the other day that RTG was just posting on social medias for a chance to do a shop tour, meet the crew, and it was like a dinner or a lunch or something.
Sure.
They were doing a raffle, kind of like, oh, here's a chance to raise a little money. You get to see the behind the scenes of everything. And
Yep.
there was three cars sitting in that shop,
Yeah.
and you have to think that there's one in the trailer yet too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I
So
mean, if you think about it, there's four cars.
yeah, that you can put two in a trailer and go racing and be all right.
Yeah. Yep. And obviously with Longhorn, they're probably, pumping out new chassis like no other too. So I mean,
Yeah.
worst comes to worst, they could always build another one at least.
Yeah.
Then the only thing comes down to just finding crew guys, which, I don't think there's any shortage of crew guys in
No.
this line of racing. So
No. Yeah. I don't know. The who goes into the SSI car is,
there's one name that stands out
yup.
amongst the rest,
Go ahead.
Hudson O'Neal.
Hudson O'Neal.
But
He
and
has a
I was thinking,
history with them.
yep, and I was just thinking about this too 5 minutes ago when we were saying that there's no open rides. We saw this with Hudson, that he kind of struggled to find a ride and has been kind of hopping around,
Yep.
mainly running his family car, but has been hopping around to find just put races in.
Yep.
And again, we said that there's no real open rides for RTJ. Again, somebody's going to have to make a ride, basically, at this point.
Yeah. Someone will put together a ride for him. And we've seen it with Hudson O'Neal. I wouldn't be surprised if Rumley has his hands in this.
Yeah.
Temporarily, Hudson O'Neal did it.
Yep.
Drove for Rumley just till he could get his feet under him with his own family deal.
Yep.
I could see this week or this 8 stretch race, Rumley going, all right, I got the car. We'll put it together, bring a little sponsorship money with you. I'll get you on your feet until you can find something permanent.
Yep.
The Rumley ride is a little bit more of a big show.
It's a backup car.
Correct. It's a big show. It'll unload for the world. It'll unload for the dream. It'll unload for the dirt track world championships.
If
That
Larson wants to run it here and there.
correct. It's that type of caliber team and car. But RTJ brings a little sponsorship money with him. I could see that car being unloaded with a
And
20
he's
on it.
got a damn good winning record.
Correct.
And especially with Lucas Oil, they've got, I want to make sure I get this right, but they got a race at Houston's coming up. That's at the end of this 10-day stretch. That's, I
Yep.
believe, 53 to win. Correct. 53,000 to win. So, I
Yep.
mean, the Silver Dollar Nationals is what it is.
Yeah, the Silver Dollar Nationals is one of those crown jewels.
So that's a good one where, all right, RTJ hops into that Rumley ride. We're to spend these first handful of races just getting comfortable, figuring out what we need, getting
Yep.
familiar with each other. And then when Houston's come around,
Yep.
that's when you really put it
And then they
down.
got, yeah, so they run. So looking at July, here's kind of the schedule, and we've been talking about this. You should maybe have said this. It's July 11th, 12th, 13, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20. So July 20th is the last one of this stretch here, but then they're off until August 8th,
So a
which
couple weeks.
we say off,
Because then
but
you've got USA Nationals in between there as well.
yep. So that July 20th, they'd be off for one, two, not quite 3 full weeks, 2.5. Be a Saturday night to the 8th would be a Thursday night. So there's 2.5 weeks there that there's a little downtime with this for.
So if you really want to look at this, again, kind of think of the World Outlaws as well. On the 26th and 27th, you
Yeah,
have the Fairbury Dirt Classic, Prairie Dirt Classic.
yeah, that's a absolute massive one.
And then you've got the USA Nationals at Cedar Lake. Those are
For
your two big outlaw late model weekends coming up. In between between the big stretch and their next race.
which correct, which when you look at that, well, the USA Nationals is 50 grand to win. Ricky won a prelim night there last year.
Yep. And then Fairbury's 50 to win as well.
So there's $100,000 there. Now,
And
kind
that's
of
coming off of the 53 at Houston's.
correct. So kind of going back on the conversation of Longhorn, well, Longhorn might be have Rumley on the phone right now going, we need to keep Ricky. What do you need from us to keep Ricky a Longhorn car?
Because is Rumley, what does Rumley run?
Longhorn.
Okay.
So that was the big thing when Hudson made his transition because he went to Rumley, which that was his switching of chassis.
Yep.
So he obviously went from a Rocket to a Longhorn. But I wouldn't be surprised if Longhorns got Rumley on the phone going, all right, here's the deal. We got to keep Ricky around. What do you need from us?
What temporary loan, whatever do you need from us?
What support do you need from us?
We're gonna make this work. We just gotta figure it out.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. We just need to figure it out logistically. What can we do?
Yep.
So that would be I could see that being a potential temporary spot for him. Um,
I never thought of that last night, so I would definitely agree with you on that.
that one just kind of came to me. The Shepherd rigs, I could see that being one. Again, that's a direct Longhorn tie.
Yep.
Longhorn house guarded, Longhorn factory team is what they call it. Outside of that, uh, those are the two obvious ones that come to mind. Um,
And we don't think he would go back to modifieds either.
no, not at this point in his career. So I was just looking at the floor racing article. Um, so he's got in his career, Ricky's 33 years old at the moment. He's got more than 400 career multi-division feature victories. So when I look at it, he was with them. The partnership began May 2020. 2021 Lucas Oil Rookie of the Year. And kind of says multiple $50,000 paydays, $100,000 XR Super Series victory. He has a full field Lucas Oil victory, so he set the tour win record last year. looking at that. So uh, the pairing have won more than 60 races over the last 4 seasons, including last year's $1 million season with 34 victories.
Yeah.
That was last year alone. So now, when we look at this SSI seat, there are a lot of unknowns.
Yep.
Um, Another one that kind of came around, I don't see it being mid-season. I would find it hard to believe, but if you'd have told me this was going to happen, I'd have told you you're crazy. Logan Seavey's name was supposed to make his late model debut, got rained out, didn't get to do it, but I find it hard to believe that he'll step away from his USAC title chase.
Yeah, especially when he's chasing that Triple Crown too.
Yep.
Not in the middle of it, which I should have looked into this last night, but I believe he's pretty well in the running to do all three of them.
I I just don't see him stepping away from that, especially.
Yeah, he's fourth in the net in the Silver Crown standings. He's first in sprint cars, and he's third in midgets. And he's in within reach for all of them.
Yep. So I don't see that. I mean, obviously
It'd be
Hudson,
cool.
it'd be cool. It'd be super cool. And he'd be a guy that doesn't have late model experience. He would step in and be immediately competitive.
Yep. Yep.
Now, he would take a few lumps here and there because there's a learning curve to it, but obviously the dude knows his way around a dirt racetrack.
Yep. And I'm sure he's got his his contract obligations to his USAC teams and all that too. So if it was at the beginning of the year, I think Logan C would have a lot more pull for that seat. But with it being in the middle,
Yep.
there's nothing there. I think it'd be cool. Walkopedia put that out just like a watch Logan Seavey just drops us and goes late model racing type of deal. But
Yeah. Obviously Hudson O'Neal has ties to running with them in early in his career. So
yep,
his name will swirl around that, but from leaving Rocket to putting together his own program to now going to drive for someone, I kind of find that hard to believe. But again, we're here because of the unthinkable is now a conversation.
yep, and that just goes to show that anything can happen in any type of racing season, and silly season is never over.
Nope. It's never evolving conversation. Yeah.
So,
I don't know. Well, I the SSI one obviously is going to garnish a lot of attention. I just don't know.
and I think we're going to find out sooner than later on everything.
Yeah.
Just with
Castrol Full Racing Night in America tonight might potentially be one of their most or higher viewed races of the year.
between that and Thursday's Lucas Oil race, I think those are going to be your two. Those are going to be your two key dates,
Your
if
telltale.
not the Wednesday in between,
Yep.
or the Tuesday and Wednesday in between. I mean, that's
Absolutely.
we're gonna find out by Thursday.
Yep. Because let's be honest, Ricky will be at that race on Thursday night.
Correct, and I would assume, like you were saying, with SSI and the owner standings of that, they're gonna have somebody in that car Thursday.
Guaranteed they're leading both championship points.
Correct. So
Boy. Wow.
be fun to witness what happens.
Yep. I'll be witnessing some big decision making. Just be along for the
High
ride.
dollar decision making.
Well, that too. Any final thoughts here before we kind of wrap up the breaking news on Ricky?
No, I think that's about it. We'll get Cam's thoughts on this later this week when we all get together for podcast recording. But and we'll probably have more news by then, so we'll probably talk about that then too. So
we'll have some answers finally, I believe.
yes,
Well,
hopefully
temporary answers.
correct.
So,
Correct.
real quick, let's just look at the schedule. As we're kind of just because we're a little bit off kilter with our recording, as we're going to the Slinger Nationals tomorrow. So let's just take a look at the schedule. We can kind of fire out a few races that will be.
I mean, obviously we got the Nationals. World Outlaws, the sprint cars are at Beaver Dam on Wednesday.
Yeah. 7, 8. Obviously, Castrol tonight. XR Super Series, they go on a little bit of a stretch here today, tomorrow at Clay County. So we got those races. USAC midgets will be running. Jefferson County. And then the big ones this weekend will be NASCAR heads to Pocono, and then IndyCar is up in this neighborhood. They'll be headed to Iowa.
Yep, and then you also got the Southern Super Series at Nashville Fairgrounds this weekend.
Nope. Yeah, for sure.
So a
Good
couple big
race.
races, but obviously we'll cover a little bit more as we go later in the week. Oh yeah, and Midwest Tour, ASA Midwest Tour, and the trucks are at Grundy.
Yep. Which that's another conversation in itself for tomorrow.
Yep, or for whenever.
Whenever we, unravel the Slinger Nationals.
Yes.
So, all right. Well, some fast thoughts, some quick thoughts, the unknowns, the knowns thus
Yep.
far. So, as always, stay tuned for the Tuesday Track Talk. A little bit of a goofy schedule this week with the race day being Tuesday. But until then, we'll catch you on the next episode.